The decks just hit, and I had a chance to look through them right before I got here. It's a $14.1 billion deal, which is what was agreed to in December of 2023, and an additional $11 billion in investments across the footprint of U.S. Steel. Now, here's the key thing. There's a golden share, and what is now confirmed that I think could be considered by some troubling, but also a hurdle for many who are investors in Nippon Steel. The golden share gives the president of the United States in perpetuity decision-making abilities over a number of company-specific decisions that every company on planet Earth has to make over periods of time. Capital investments, decisions to lay off workers, decisions to cut capacity. And then there's some basic ones like a decision whether or not they want to move the headquarters and change the name.
I've never heard of a golden share type of mechanism. Have they been used? Has this been used before?
Golden shares are not unusual outside of the United States. We see this in Europe. We do see this across Asia. But the United States takes a bit of pride in the fact that it doesn't do golden shares. Now, initially, Josh Wingrove and I, one of our White House reporters, had been reporting in this golden share, and the initial reporting we were getting was that, well, the golden share isn't exactly a golden share; it's more just some veto powers. But what has become clear is the golden share gives specific power to the president of the United States. There's all sorts of questions that I have there that I don't know if we can get into right now, but I do think these are the questions that investors in Nippon Steel are going to have to be asking themselves.
Okay, here's the dumb one. Why did Nippon Steel go for this? Like, why spend $14 billion to have your investment in the U.S. run by the president of the United States?
I think it shows how much Nippon Steel needed this expansion. The idea was if Nippon Steel didn't close the U.S. Steel deal, they would have to pivot. And the pivot discussions among investors and analysts who've covered this company for years said, well, maybe they're going to build out more steel capacity in India. India is actually their biggest footprint in terms of production, not Japan. But it still left them without a foothold in the United States and North America. And mind you, that is arguably the most important steel market in the world. The automotive market in the United States is unbelievably important for steelmakers. It is a crown jewel. If you are ArcelorMittal, if you are any Chinese company, you wish you could be selling steel into the automotive industry. The margins on that steel are incredible, and the customers are solid gold. You know that they're going to be taking shipments year in and year out. The deals that they make with these guys are 3-year contracts. It's not just ad hoc. So Nippon Steel now, they spent a lot. They put a lot into it. But I think it said how much the executives at Nippon Steel believed that the future of Nippon Steel relied on getting this deal.
Wow.
Was this deal subject to shareholder approval?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the Nippon shareholders...
Sorry.
Okay.
The merger agreement was signed and agreed to back in April of 2024 by all the shareholders. The national security agreement that was signed with the $11 billion investment before 2028 was not subject to that same shareholder approval.
So this golden share did not come up for shareholder vote.
Right. Not a direct vote.
Interesting.
And there's a lot to unpack around that. I mean, to some, this deal's done. The Arbs are probably going to be celebrating having a few beers or enjoying their wife and kids for the first time in a year and a half.
Yeah.
But for those of us who are in the steel market and follow the steel market, it is going to be interesting how the landscape morphs around all of these decisions.
Right. So what is the biggest thing then that you're watching for the trickle down of this kind of deal?
I want to see how Nippon Steel jumps into the market. Are they going to start selling at below market prices to gain market share? There is an argument to be made that the doubling of steel tariffs that we saw President of the United States announce in Pittsburgh 3 weeks ago when he announced the deal is actually because the administration understands that by Nippon Steel getting this deal closed, they are a formidable opponent to Nucor Corporation, which is the largest U.S. steelmaker, and Steel Dynamics and Cliffs. But that also means you're bringing in a very viable opponent who can continue to produce and increase their production in their capacity. That would hurt prices technically. By putting in a higher tariff, this 50% tariff, you are on some level closing out most foreign imports. And therefore, you're putting a floor on prices. That will be interesting to see how it plays out. We're already in a tough situation in the steel market right now. It's a cyclical moment. Obviously, the entire trade tariff situation going on is problematic even in the steel industry. I think that's the first thing we're really going to have to focus on.